Your question, member from Toronto, Danforth.
Thank you, Speaker. My question to the Premier. Last May, the Financial Accountability Officer revealed that the Premier's so-called Fair Hydro Plan will not reduce hydro costs, but merely postpone payment of those costs until after the next election. In the long run, Ontario families will pay billions more under the government scheme than they would have paid without that scheme. And today, the Auditor General revealed that the government is wasting $4 billion on an Enron-style accounting scheme whose sole purpose is to hide this truth from the public.
Wow.
Why is the Premier forcing Ontario consumers to pay $4 billion just so she can mislead the public about her hydro borrowing scheme?
Wow. No. The Seated, please. The member will withdraw. Thank you. Premier.
Mr. Speaker, and I know that the President of the Treasury Board is going to want to comment, but let me just say again, Mr. Speaker, that we appreciate the work that the Auditor General has done, Mr. Speaker. We recognize, and I have said, I've said that it was absolutely necessary, Mr. Speaker, to make the investments that were made to rebuild a degraded electricity system, that there was a cost associated with those, Mr. Speaker, and that therefore the cost of electricity were going up quickly and they were going up to a very high rate, particularly in some parts of the province and some of the rural and northern communities, Mr. Speaker. So we responded by putting in place a plan that, again, I have said publicly, we knew that over the long term was going to have a cost associated with it, Mr. Speaker. But we also know that the asset that has been built and rebuilt, Mr. Speaker, will last for a number of generations, and that we spread that cost over a longer period of time.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, that was not a satisfactory answer. The Premier is spending $5.5 million in public money to tell Ontarians that hydro costs are going down when we know they're actually going up. And now the Auditor General has revealed that the Premier is forcing ratepayers to pay $4 billion in an Enron-style accounting scheme designed to conceal this truth from Ontarians, instead of adding billions in needless costs onto the hydro bills of Ontario families. Will the Premier finally admit that her misguided hydro borrowing scheme will make everyone worse off in the long run?
Premier.
The Treasury Board.
President, Treasury Board.
Yes, thank you very much, Speaker. And you know, when I think back to 2003 and I think of my own riding of Guelph, I think about a part of Ontario that never used to have smog days. The reason we had smog days was because of coal generation. We have invested a lot of money into the Ontario hydro system to make sure we get rid of coal-fired generation. And you know what? We don't have smog days anymore in my part of the
Chair. Finish, please.
But we also know that consumers have been struggling with the cost of electricity bills, and that is why we brought in the Fair Hydro Plan, is to reduce the cost of hydro for people throughout Ontario, for average families. What we also know is that the auditor has tabled her Fair Hydro part today. We appreciate her work. We will respect the auditor going forward with her